concentric circles is what we're all about today. Concentric circles are basically circles within circles within circles with a common center. So they're very similar to like the stacking dolls that some of us may have played with, like the because they have a common little person on the inside. Concentric circles most commonly look like this. Not just the moisturizer, like the ripples. You can find concentric circles anytime it rains or if you have a big rock to drop into a puddle. They're naturally just rings will form one on top of the other with a common center. And you can find this, it's evident in Saturn's rings, it's evident in our universe, it's evident in the Earth. There are concentric circles of core that move out from the Earth's center core. So the Earth is actually made of concentric circles, so no wonder we're seeing it all over the place. My eyeball is kind of a concentric circle with the common point as the pupil. There's not a tremendous amount to touch on in terms of this, but I just really have an affinity for it. So I want to talk about it. It's commonly, really, really commonly found in architecture, and especially religious, spiritual construction. I have a reference here to tell you about that I discovered in my book. In 300 BC, this is again the historical context of this. No one really discovered concentric circles. I'm assuming they were just noted. It wasn't like a theorem that someone did. They've just always been a part of our natural systems. That there were circles within circles within circles, surrounded around a common center. But in 300 BC, the sanctuary at Overton Hill in Britain, they discovered timber post holes and 6 concentric circles. And they determined, they meaning probably the British folks that noted this spot, the archaeologist, that this is the timber version, people said, of Stonehenge, which Stonehenge is also 2 concentric circles that aren't finished, they're not closed off. I also just wanted to say straight up that if you're a pure pluralist, that the concept of concentric circles in sacred spaces, it's a field day for you, because it's pretty much everywhere. Every culture that appeared to me in this research process has used the concept of concentric circles as part of sacred space and building sacred space. I could list those cultures and those applications, but I'm going to actually stick with a neo-pagan and pagan interpretation of these concentric circles. I'm an Anglo-Saxon individual of pagan origin, and so that's where I'm going to hang out, because, the other ones don't really belong to me to interpret. So I'm just going to stick with that, but I just also wanted to note that it's not specific to that culture. It's not specific to paganism or to Anglo-Saxon culture. It is widely used. And, from the mandala to Aboriginal face paint, it is across the board in existence, which makes sense because it's inherent to the nature of our planet. But just in terms of cultural context, I just wanted to let you know that the place that I'm springing from is a pagan place. So, there's that. Alright, so in general, concentric circles are so cool. But personally, what I found far more interesting than just these unfolding of circles in sacred sites is the theorems surrounded around concentric circles and building. One of the cool ones that I found was it's an essay called "The Ordering of Towns," written by an anonymous person around 1634, and the Ordering of Towns was written to help Puritans in the Americas, in basically in Massachusetts. It was written in Massachusetts for Massachusetts folks to build their cities on a hill. The way that it was written is they used a hierarchical notion, that the hierarchical idea that was being, circulated during Puritan times, to explain the way that folks should build their churches and their cities. So they thought that you should build your town with the church as the center, and then concentric circles out from the church. So the church is the heartbeat, according to the Puritans, and then everything else in concentric circles. According to the essay, they thought that the ideal, Puritan, very pure, idyllic spot would be 6 concentric circles, set within a 6 square mile around your church. Nothing wrong with that. It's just interesting that it started pagan and moved to city on a hill type thing, but whatever. All I can do is note that and think that it's interesting. Also, there's a lot of churches. The Milan Cathedral is based on concentric circles with a 14-point radius between each one. The radius between circles, like that space between the different different radii on different circles, is called the annulus. And if you measure the annulus of each of the circles that Milan is built around, it's 14. Also, there's this thing called the concentric circles theory, which was established by, or written by Ernest Burgess. Is that how you say his name? I don't know. Ernest Burgess, the sociologist. In 1925, they wrote this theory, and again, it's called the concentric circles theory, and in it they basically predict. They use the word predict, that urban centers are based naturally around the unfolding of concentric circles. So it says that social structures develop around a city center in concentric circles, and that it unfolds naturally and without effort. It's effortless. That if you build a city center, which is usually comprised of a financial gain or industry, then around that unfolds the city. So that, and it talks about 5 zones of circles with a common center. I also drew you, this is for all the Pythagorean fans out there, this is a drawing I just did moments ago to show you. These are concentric circles, and then these are Pythagorean triangles that are formed within any sort of concentric circle. So, and the ratio is A to B is the same as B to A. So these two are identical, so they equal each other. And then P, which is the center of the two, minus B equals P minus A equals A plus B. AB. I hope this is familiar to people because I don't want to go too deeply into Pythagoras. But all this means is that concentric circles form Pythagorean triangles inside of them always, and it is further proof of the golden mean at work and the Fibonacci sequence at work, and Fibonacci sequence at work, and just how exciting this stuff really is.